It's the Daily Dispatch, in discussion with Darren Mann.
Headlines in your Daily Dispatch for today, Thursday, 21st of October. Opposition parties turn up the heat on Eastern Cape Premier. Rival politicians bay for Mabayane's blood after corruption allegations in the Public Protector's recent report. Also on the front page today, dark nights ahead as BCM pulls plug on lights contract. Buffalo City Metro residents will have to get used to dark streets and long turnaround times. Some BCM streets have been plunged into darkness since the city's contract with Designer Lighting, which maintained the streetlight infrastructure, came to an end. Their considerable workload has now been passed on to the city's own staff until a new contractor is selected in a yet-to-be-advertised tender process. Those are your headlines in today's Daily Dispatch. For more details, go to dispatchlive.co.za.
Enter the Daily Dispatch Winner Car competition and you could grab away in the new 7-seater Suzuki Ertiga 1.5 GA. The competition closes on the 21st of November 2021 and an entry form is printed in the Daily Dispatch every day. The more you enter, the luckier you get. Get your copy of the Daily Dispatch and enter now. Win a car, proudly brought to you by Daily Dispatch and Ronnie's Motors.
Lead story in the Daily Dispatch today. Opposition parties turn up the heat on East Cape Premier. The walls are closing in on Eastern Cape Premier Oscar Mabayane as opposition parties push for his removal via a motion of no confidence. Amongst the parties pushing for that motion of no confidence, the DA, and we have veteran DA politician, these days in MPL, Bobby Stevenson, joining us on the show today. Bobby, good morning. Give us the background as to why you have thrown your weight behind this motion of no confidence in the Premier.
Well, good morning, Darren, and good morning to your listeners. The allegations that are made in the Public Protector's report are very damning, and we will obviously support a motion of no confidence in the Premier. On the 9th of October, when the story first broke, we called for the resignation of the Premier. So we'll obviously support a motion of no confidence. But we have, first of all, taken a different route. I have written to the Speaker of the Provincial Legislature last week on Monday, requesting that this report, once it's tabled in the legislature, be referred A, to the Ethics Committee, and B, to SCOPA, the Standing Committee of Public Accounts, because there are some serious issues that need to be investigated. This matter is not just about the Premier. It's about money that came from provincial government coffers, A, from the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, that relates to the 1.1 million that went to the Mbazana local municipality. That's one aspect of the report. The second aspect of the report is 2.2 million that was allegedly siphoned off via intermediary companies from the Department of Transport that ended up in proxy accounts related to government officials. So there's two aspects to this report. And if the story around the 2.2 million holds up in a criminal court, it alludes to a modus operandi in the Eastern Cape where over-the-top prices are paid for tenders and then money is siphoned off into officials' accounts. So for me, it's not just about a motion of no confidence. It's about potentially the tip of the iceberg into probably what could be the biggest scandal facing the Eastern Cape.
Bobby, we've heard these scandals before, or we've heard of these scandals before. We've heard of investigations. Our former state president himself was subject to a number of no confidence votes. In the end, they seem to go away. How do you see this one playing itself out?
Well, let's be brutally frank here. In terms of section 130 of the Constitution, if you're going to bring a motion of no confidence against a Premier, alleging misconduct, that needs a 2/3 majority of the legislature before it can be passed. If you're bringing an ordinary motion of no confidence, then it needs just a simple majority, 34 members, but then the whole executive has to resign. So I don't see the ANC supporting a motion of no confidence from the opposition against one of their own members. But what they could do, it will add pressure on the ANC to request the Premier to resign if he cannot overturn these allegations when he takes the matter on review. So there's a lot of pressure now on the Premier, and I'm sure it's going to build up on him in the run-up to the ANC conference. So that's why we asked for this matter to be referred to SCOPA, the Standing Committee of Public Accounts, so we can get to the bottom of all this. If money is being siphoned off from government departments via intermediary companies to benefit certain officials, as I've said earlier on, this could point to a massive scandal in the Eastern Cape. And this is why the Democratic Alliance launched what we called Tender Watch EC a few weeks ago. We had a press conference as a result of certain allegations that were made to me in relation to this kind of modus operandi. And later on this morning, one of my colleagues, Vicky Knutzer, is actually having a press conference where we're going to launch a fire application to get more information into prices actually paid by the province for tenders and work done in this province, because we are determined to root out corruption and maladministration in the Eastern Cape. Too much money doesn't land up where it should land up. And an example was that Lessington sports field in Enoch in Gajima a week or two ago. We can't, in a province with so much poverty, we cannot afford to waste 1 cent on maladministration and corruption.
Bobby, if I might return to the motion of no confidence, give us an idea of the timeline that would be involved. How long would this process take to play itself out, and where would we find the pivotal moments?
Well, I think what first needs to happen in the provincial legislature, as called for by the Public Protector, is this report would have to be tabled in the provincial legislature. Then the normal process is that it would be referred to a committee, and our choice is SCOPA. We believe that's the right committee to investigate the whole matter, and then that committee would come with findings and recommendations to the House. So there's a lot of technical procedures involved with the legislature. If a report is tabled in the House or about to be tabled in the House, and somebody brings a motion of no confidence, it might well be argued by the ANC that this contravenes the rule of anticipation, that you can't introduce a motion relating to a report that's currently before the House or about to come before the House. So I think this could still be a few months in the making before such a motion actually comes before the House, because the Speaker has still about, I think, 8th or 9th of December to table the report. Then it will have to be referred to a committee, and then you have a recess. So this still has a few months to go, but we are determined to get to the bottom of this, and we will continue to pursue it with vigour and determination. We want clean government in the Eastern Cape.
Veteran DA MPL Bobby Stevenson chatting to us to Daily Dispatch in discussion with Darren Mann this morning. Bobby, have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Darren. Thanks.
Another one of the opposition parties in the Eastern Cape Legislature calling for a motion of no confidence in East Cape Premier Oscar Mabuyane is the UDM. And we're joined now by UDM MPL, Mr. Lulama Mahlathi. Mr. Mahlathi, thanks for joining us. In brief, the UDM's position on this matter. Why are you calling for the motion of no confidence in Premier Mabuyane, and do you expect it to be carried?
The Premier Oscar Mabuyane and the MEC Babalo Matikeza were found to have siphoned 1.1 million from Bizana Municipality by the Public Protector, Busisiwe Mkhwebane, in a report released on the 8th of October 2021. The same report found that they benefited from the 2.2 million, which was found from the provincial government. And this matter, the public protector referred to the Hawks for criminal investigation. The Premier and the two MECs breached the section 2, 1 and C and D of the Executive Ethics Act 82 of 1998 and have an Executive Ethics Act 82 of 1998 and have therefore brought the office into disrepute and must step down from their positions. That's where UDM is. The conduct of offensive to the integrity of the offices they hold, offensive to the integrity of the offices they hold, and the UDM as a party grossly opposed to corruption found their conduct unbearable. We therefore demand that they resign with immediate effect, failing which we will take appropriate legal action to ensure they vacate their offices. That's where we stand for.
We thank you for joining us and sharing the UDM's position with us on Daily Dispatch in discussion with Darren Mann this morning, the voice of UDM MPL, Mr. Lulama Mahlathi. Mr. Mahlathi, many thanks. Have a good day. The EFF have called for criminal charges to be laid. Other opposition parties in the Eastern Cape Legislature have requested a motion of no confidence in Premier Oscar Mabuyane to be held. All this in reaction to a recent report by the Public Protector alleging corruption by Mabuyane. Joining us now on the Daily Dispatch in discussion with Darren Mann is the spokesperson for the ANC on this matter, Mr. Loyiso Magqashela. Mr. Magqashela, thank you for joining us. Can you give us the ANC's position briefly? Have you had a chance to look at these requests for motions of no confidence, and how will you be responding?
Thank you so much, Darren, and good morning to everyone. Look, Darren, we have not received any documentation in that regard, which is from the opposition parties, except that we have heard that EFF has criminal charges against the Premier. And also through yourselves as Daily Dispatch, we have been informed that the UDM has also written something like a motion of no confidence intentions. And we have not received anything. However, what is the ANC we are saying in this regard? We are in full support of the Premier and the chairperson of the province, and we also support his move together with Comrade Matigizela that they take the public protest report for a judicial review. And our intentions, of course, is to await that process and give it the due regard, because we don't want to preempt anything. And once that step has been, exhausted, then we will take a stance to say what then becomes of us as the ANC. And we have not been informed as well from the level of the legislature that there is such a correspondence, except that which I confirmed, which has been done by the EFF. And, it would definitely be expected by anyone that during this time of elections, it would, of course, be used as a political point scoring, any move that would really want to tackle the Premier. We are not then, surprised. Of course, it talks to one gaining political mileage at this stage.
Outside of any political point scoring, can I ask you unequivocally, are the ANC opposed to corruption in all shapes and forms?
100%. We are very much opposed to any corrupt activity. You would recall the ANC has adopted a renewal program which seeks to deal with any corrupt element. And we have said in our resolution we should not associate to anybody who is found who is criminally charged, and whether that person is an ANC member, a leader, and so on. we are very much opposed, and our stance in every respect, you would of course attest to that the ANC is serious on rooting out corruption. Hence, we are saying we are not supporting the Premier because he is corrupt. We are supporting him because he indicates to us that he is not corrupt. However, he has then decided to take that report for a review because there are flaws into it according to his assessment with his legal team, that this matter so there are areas that have not been considered. We are very much opposed to corruption in its different forms.
If it were to turn out, following all these processes playing themselves out, if it were to turn out that there was corruption involved, would you then be calling for the officials implicated to be removed?
100%, with no doubt. Once that gets to be proved to be the case, the ANC's position is that anybody who has been found to be against the law, who is found to be corrupt, is directed to step aside and then face the consequences of whatever the person is alleged of. We are ready for that. That's why we are allowing every other avenue to be explored by the person concerned.
Thank you very much for your comments and for joining us on Daily Dispatch in discussion with Darren Mann this morning. That's Loyiso Magqashela. He's an ANC MPL and Legislature Chief Whip and also the ANC Provincial Executive Committee spokesperson. Thank you for your time, sir.
That was the Daily Dispatch in discussion with Darren Mann.